Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim, and our guest today is Arul. So Arul, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
Hi, my name is Arul, based out of Bangalore in India currently. I'm the co-founder CEO of BUK Technology. So at BUK, we are tokenizing hotel room bookings, making them resellable. From an end user perspective, assume you make a booking, you're not able to travel, instead of canceling, you could actually resell that reservation to someone else. So we're building the complete tech on blockchain, and we're using NFTs to actually enable all of these transfers. And we've been building for the last 1.5 years, and our product is going to go live just probably by the time that this podcast goes live.
Awesome. So how did you get the idea to start this business?
Yeah, so it's specifically came out of a personal need itself, where I had a reservation that was quite an expensive one, but I had bought a non-refundable reservation. There was no way to make money or actually save money out of it, right? So I called her to a friend of mine with whom I've known for the last 20 years or so. He's been in the travel tech space. And I said that, you know what, you have your networks, you have your connects, you understand how the travel space works. Why don't you sell my reservation to someone else so that I can save up on some money rather than losing all of it? And that's when he kind of called it out that, you know, it's not something that's possible by the way that currently industry operates. And it seemed very funny to me that it was not possible at all. And as we delve deeper as to why it was not possible and what sort of platforms exist today, we realized that this is a wide space that no one has actually addressed. And it's not been addressed largely because the technology was not there to enable something of this sort. And blockchain was that one technology without which it's not possible to do this at scale, right? It's possible to do it manually one-on-one. That there are a few startups who've tried that, but then we figured that this is something that can create a completely new ecosystem of how distribution happens in the hospitality industry itself. So we figured that we're solving a much bigger trillion-dollar problem, not a billion-dollar problem. And we said that, you know, let's actually go ahead and try to build it out and solve it for ourselves.
Makes sense. So can you just talk more about how it works? Like, do you have to partner with the hotels themselves, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we can partner directly with the hotels as well. But the way that current distribution of the hotel industry works is there are the lot of intermediaries or aggregators who have access to all of these inventory that the hotels provide, right? So think of it, even if the largest hotel that's out there is Marriott, right? And Marriott has 8,000 properties around. If I were to integrate with them, obviously, first of all, it's going to take me 1.5 years or 2 years even to get an approval to do some sort of an integration with them. And even after integration, it's going to give me just 8,000 properties. Whereas there are aggregators like, say, Expedia, with whom we currently work. With a single API integration, they're able to provide us like 500,000 properties. So it was a no-brainer that as a startup, we don't want to spend our effort into something which is non-core to us, which is directly contracting with some of the hotels. But as we scale, it is required to create sort of a competitive edge. And at that point, we definitely will actually go and talk to hotel by hotel. So, but at this point, we use intermediaries, aggregators, through whom we take these inventory.
Makes sense. So what is the pricing structure look like? Like, are you taking a fee from each transaction, or is a hotel or I guess like, Expedia paying you every month? Like, what does that look like for you?
So there are two parts to this, right? One is how does the industry currently work and how do we operate? So the currently industry, the way that any online travel agency like booking.com or Hopper or any of those entities work is they work on a gross margin model, which means that they buy something for $100, they increase the price to $120, $20 is the margin that they make, right? So that's how conventional OTA businesses work. Now we are trying to change the way that works. and trying to give more control and visibility back to the hotels. Because we are using a blockchain-based system, we are able to take the same price and sell it at the same price, while we just charge a transaction fee on top of it. So instead of a gross margin model, we are coming up with a transaction fee model where every sale that happens and every transfer that happens, let's suppose I bought that booking, but I resell it to someone else and he sells it to someone else, and every transaction we keep charging a 5%, out of which 3% comes to us, 1% goes back to the hotel whose room is actually being resold or traded. That makes them a part of the ecosystem as well. And we also collect 1% to be distributed to the first person who actually made that booking from the hotel, thereby creating a complete ecosystem, financial incentives for everyone to actually start transacting on the platform.
Makes sense. So where does blockchain come into all of this? Because I think that you mentioned earlier that this cannot be done without blockchain. So
Yeah.
what role does blockchain actually play in this business?
Yeah, so think about it, right? So let's suppose rewind back 10 years back, or even today for that matter, right? Let's suppose you get a booking. What are you actually having as a proof of that reservation? You have a
Right.
PNR number or a confirmation number or an email at best, right? Now, if I were to create a reselling platform for this, what are you effectively selling? You are effectively selling your email address. Email that you received, or a PNR number or a confirmation number. Now, what stops you from selling the same email, same PNR, same confirmation number to 4 different reselling platforms? Right? There is no way that one person would come to know from the other unless they do extensive manual checks, which is why currently it is manual. And that's why blockchain comes in, where we convert that reservation into an NFT, and that NFT cannot be duplicated, right? So you can at any point in time only have one copy of one single NFT, and if you transfer it to another person, you don't have that NFT anymore. You don't have anything to transfer it. So there is a clear proof of ownership as to who owns that booking, and clear provenance, which says that is that booking something that came from Marriott or from Hilton or not. Right? There's a provenance as well that's encompassed into that. And because of this is why we had to choose blockchain, right? Without blockchain, this wouldn't have been possible.
Makes sense. So you mentioned that this is, about to go live. So what is your go-to-market strategy? Like, how are you going to make sure that, there's user adoption, that people are actually going to use this product?
Yeah. So we're going a very sharp niche segment that we're targeting, and that's the crypto users, right? We are targeting, and because the way that a unique value proposition is around reselling, we are expecting that the initial cohort of users are going to come for financial incentives. So they're going to come for making money rather than saving money. So what that means is they're going to buy an F1 race date in Singapore 6 months earlier, and as the date gets closer, they're going to be putting it up for sale for a profit, right? Or an Olympics date that's coming up in July or August in Paris. They could actually buy that now for, I believe, $1,000. The prices have already shot up, but that's expected to go to almost $7,000 to $8,000 per night, right? So that's the expected price, which means that you have an option to, or rather, an opportunity to make almost 7 to 8x in 7 months. So we believe that initially there will be traders, there will be speculators who come in and be the first cohort of users, right? And this kind of a market can only exist around events, conferences, concerts, wherever there is a spike, right? Those kind of dates are what we're targeting for the crypto users. In this case, it is crypto conferences, sporting events, etc., that we're kind of unlocking for this particular segment. And we're using the conventional mechanisms of Twitter reach outs, direct reach outs, through Telegram groups, Discord groups, where most of the crypto community is currently consolidated, right? And we're getting them on board as the first set of users. Now, what would eventually happen is, as the people start buying up inventory and starting to listing it up for sale, assume that someone buys it for $1,000 today and the market rate is $5,000 for a room. Obviously, a secondary market reseller is going to say that, you know what, booking.com or Expedia is selling at $5,000. Let me sell it at $4,800 or $4,000, so that there is a financial benefit for the person who buys it. Now, when you are able to provide the same room at a cheaper price, automatically there is visibility, and there are people who are going to be looking for price for consumption itself, and the flywheel, that's how the flywheel is again expected to rotate.
Makes sense. So what is the biggest challenge that you're facing as you're about to launch this product?
I would say the GTM itself, right? So because we are a startup, travel e-commerce is a high CAC business. almost CAC is between $120 to $180, right? And this being a completely unique mechanism, there are two issues that we're facing. One is educating the customer itself that you could actually resell the room is not something that is intuitive to them. So there is a sort of a little bit of an education to be done, which is why we're targeting the crypto market, because they understand how these kind of concepts actually work. And the second one is obviously making people aware that there's such a concept even exists, that the platform exists, right? Those, I believe, are the major challenges. Once the flywheel starts to rotate, we don't see any specific challenges around this.
Makes sense. So how did you build this out? Like, did you raise some money or you bootstrapped? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, we raised some early funds from few investors, and right now also we are looking to raise from few investors. So it's a mix of bootstrap plus external funding both.
Awesome. So what is your top priority now as we're wrapping up 2023?
Awareness, GTM, right? So go to market, and how do you make more people aware of it is what the highest priority would be, because we have our own in-house development team, and the development team is skilled enough. They are ex co-founders, and they built out enterprise scale systems. So we understand how to build large scale systems and consumer applications. So that's not been a challenge at all. The challenge is around getting the word out to the market is what we're focusing on most on.
Makes sense. So, but like, are these websites, like Expedia, for example, platforms like that, are they going to help promote it? Or is it really something that you have to do on your own 100%?
Yeah, so the initial phase is something that we are going to do it ourselves, which is on booktrips.com. buktrips.com is where you can make the reservation, resellable reservation itself. But the idea of using the technology is to become an inventory layer for the hotels, for the travel industry, right? Which means that tomorrow, just like you go to Expedia and you buy a travel insurance, you just put a tick and you buy a travel insurance. It's the same way we want to provide a provision where a user goes to Expedia, he clicks on cancel, and a pop-up comes up and says that, instead of canceling, would you actually like to resell this booking? And we take up the journey from there. So it's like an Intel Inside concept. So we're trying to brand it as resell with book. So keep an eye out for resell with book button on any of your travel agencies.
Makes sense. So what would you say is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you launched this product?
I would say launch sooner, right? The faster you launch it, the more you save up on money and on imaginary functionalities that you believe you require, but the customer requires something else, right? So put whatever it is out in the market at the earliest possible. But one of the challenges that we've also had is the definition. I mean, this is not an advice that is coming very new, right? This has been something that people have been talking about since 2010s, when YC started to build out this concept that, push faster and build faster and so on. But I would say that there is a change in the customer expectation in the last 1 decade, right? The tooling has become super easy. The users now are digital natives, which means that they are not willing to wait for a broken application, right? You want to see it nice functioning on day one. And that kind of contradicts with what the usual strategy of build fast and keep building sort of a philosophy doesn't apply. The first impression now actually makes much of a difference as well. So it's about finding the right balance of how do you address user experience plus functionality is something that we have to keep doing it iteratively.
Makes sense. So if we're going to chat again in 1 year from now, where do you see things going for the business?
Like I said, hopefully in 1 year, we would be having at least 5 top regional players integrating our technology into their platform. Right? The global players obviously are Booking and Expedia, and it's going to be a slow crawl towards them. But we are targeting region by region: Middle East, Southeast Asia, India, Africa, Europe. These are the markets where there are smaller regional players, right? They probably third or fourth in the overall market share. And those are the targets that we want to kind of acquire. What happens is the moment there are 2 or 3 players in a particular market offering resellability as a functionality, it becomes a customer expectation, right? And then all the other players also want to provide it. That's where we would be present, and we'd be happy to provide that services for everyone.
Awesome. So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out, do you mind sharing your website or the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so make sure that you make your reservation on booktrips.com, buktrips.com. On Twitter, also, we are at buktrips.com. And our website, like I mentioned, is BUK. Same on LinkedIn. You can search for BUK Technology, and you'll be able to find us as well.
Awesome. Well, Arul, thank you so much for your time, and we're rooting for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
Bye.